Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm TR Dailey, a young adult science fiction and fantasy author, and today we are building a holiday. So, you need to create a holiday. You've got some fantasy realm or science fiction planet that needs some cheer to be spread and some decorations hung. Let's build some traditions. First, you need to decide if your plot completely revolves around your new holiday, if you are building a plot that happens to have a section where there's going to be a holiday going on, or if it's just a holiday that's kind of going on in the background, because this is going to alter how much information you need to develop a holiday in your book. A full-blown holiday novel is going to need every last detail sorted out. If it only makes an appearance, you won't need more than a few traditions, a couple decorations, and a general idea of the lore. In the end, it's up to you how detailed your new holiday is going to be and how much time and energy and detail you invest in the new holiday. First, let's talk about how big or widespread your holiday is. Is it celebrated by thousands or even millions of people, so that no matter which village you go to in your world or which planet you stop at in the galaxy, there is some semblance of that holiday present? Keep in mind, when a holiday is that widely spread, the names of certain things tend to be a little different because of the different languages that are spoken. Or things are celebrated a little differently. For example, in Britain, they'll hang stockings at the end of their beds in hopes of getting an orange in the morning and lots of other goodies in their stocking. Whereas a very common tradition in America is hanging stockings over the mantle or fireplace in hopes of not getting coal. But even in Britain and America, those traditions still vary. But regardless, there is the stocking tradition, they're just a little bit different. Now, if it's not celebrated by thousands or millions of people, is it perhaps a dying breed of a holiday that's only celebrated by a small group of people in some remote village somewhere based off of their culture and personal histories? Or does it just seem like a dying holiday that's celebrated by people so widely spread that end up coming together, for example, once a year to celebrate some great big festival? Additionally, consider, how has the popularity shifted? Did it used to be more or less popular? And how important is it to celebrate this holiday? Which people consider it more or less so? Do they tolerate others not participating in it? Is it looked down upon if you don't participate? Now that we know how big or widespread our holiday is, we can start designing it. So there are a couple ways to go about this. The first way I'm going to show you is starting at the beginning. A lot of holidays are rooted way back in history, in pagan tradition and agrarian society. So where did your roots spring from in your holiday? Were they originally appeasing gods to bring back warm months or ask for a bountiful harvest? What did they do to appease them? And how might that have been reinterpreted as time went on? For example, were they leaving out breads and cheeses for their god, like we leave out cookies for Santa? Is Santa a god? Were they originally celebrating the longest day of summer, or spring's birth and bounty, like the Beltane? Who or what are they celebrating or commemorating, and why? Many festivities have traditions and decorations that include being brighter and louder. Fireworks, lights, singing, costumes. The question is why? Originally, were they trying to scare off unwanted spirits, and it just evolved over time into celebratory loudness and garb? Or were they trying to make the gods see them? In a dark forest, they're trying to be brighter and bring attention down to them. Another thing to consider when you're going back into agrarian society is to consider the geography around your town or your peoples. Consider the things around them, like the geographical landmarks. Perhaps they celebrate the ocean, the mountains, or the trees, because those are the things that they can see from their home, the things around them that are bringing them some kind of bounty. For example, perhaps there's always a town march to the top of a mesa where the holy tree stands. As we move forward in time, you can see that a lot of holidays are rooted in history and religion. And then they slowly developed as those cultures and religions changed and grew. In some cases, when religions and cultures collide, a new thing is born. Like how holidays was originally derived from holy days, or how the birth of Mithras and Saturnalia was assigned to Christmas because the stories lined up. Saturnalia being the ancient Roman festival of Saturn in December, a period of general merrymaking, and Mithras being the god of light who was born on December 25th. So what happens in your story when one group invades another? Do the holidays combine? Do people accept new holidays? Or do they practice their own in secret? Historically speaking, the rich adopt new traditions that they think are charming, and by doing so they set the standard, while the poor people tend to hold to their old ways. Eventually, after generations, they merge, and information is usually lost or evolves. So how does religion in your world influence how the holiday is celebrated? Is your holiday even religious, or is it secular? And has this changed over time? A lot of religions contain stories that parallel each other, and I'm not going to go into this today. If you want your mind to be totally blown, check out Zeitgeist. And this isn't a world-building religions video, which I will make in the future, but today is not that day, so I don't want to go too into creating the religions for your world, but religion has a big part to play in holidays. And a lot of religions whose stories parallel each other tend to have these pinnacle moments that you see often in each religion. For example, the birth of Jesus or Buddha or some kind of savior. And those pinnacle moments in the religions tend to have some kind of presence in the holidays. Historical events can lead to a holiday as well, like how battles tend to spark days of remembrance or days of freedom. Even large sporting events can create a holiday where people gather to celebrate that sporting event again and again. Leaders such as kings and queens tend to have their own holidays. There could be a whole festival celebrating their rule, or you can add an element of the monarchy into another tradition, like how the queen gives a speech on Christmas Day. If you're writing science fiction or post-apocalyptic dystopian, you might have to go even further into the future to see how that holiday has evolved over time. For science fiction, remember you're playing with multiple planets here, and a lot of cultures, which means a lot of your traditions and holidays will be different. Are they all tolerated? Have holidays from different planets begun to evolve together, especially on space stations? And what happens on a space station when there are hundreds of holidays involved? There was actually a Redditor named BoomerXL who had a really funny note for this that I wanted to read. After the amalgamation of all member planet holidays across the entire Federation, it was discovered that the only day without a significant holiday is March 3rd. As such, all federal services and buildings will only open once a year on March 3rd. So, what about post-apocalyptic holidays? Now we have to go even further into the future to determine what traditions from the holidays people hold to. Which can they perform in a dangerous or desolate new world? Do they arrange pine needles throughout their camps, or hang broken ornaments from their bunkers, or hold fast to some toy that represents some kind of symbolism from their holiday? Especially if you're creating a holiday from scratch, you're going to have to create the holiday and then pick apart the things that someone can do in a new world. So now, ask yourself, when is the celebration? Are your holidays associated with a particular calendar day? Keeping in mind that even across Earth, different calendars exist. So, for your holiday, is there a specific date that falls in line with your calendar? Or is it based off of the seasons, like the first snowfall? Or astronomical events, like comets or the phases of the moon? Or maybe it celebrates the transgression of the zodiac, where every month they give thanks and decorate with a different type of animal. When did they start observing this holiday? How long has it been going on? And most importantly, how long is the celebration? Is it a day, a week, a month? And if it's a longer holiday, does it build up over time? Is there one most important day? To sum up creating a holiday by starting at the beginning, let's put it into steps. Step 1. Pick events of importance to early agrarian societies, like spring's bounty, autumn harvest, or winter solstice. Step 2. Flesh out early traditions, like physical offerings, bonfires, music, or dance. Pick symbols and details that cultures can latch onto for years to come. Step 3. Then give birth to religion. Establish more than one religion in your world. Pick a few major ones, consider geography, and write out a few myths or stories to go with them. Step 4. Assign religious meaning to the celebrations based off of your world's history and geography. Step 5. Give the holidays a few 100 years to marinate, and for all the traditions to merge and evolve. The other way to start creating a holiday is not to start in the past with the history and creating all of everything, but instead to start with the particulars of the holiday itself. Start with a symbol or a tradition, something you know you want, something interesting that sparks curiosity, and build from there. This is how I write. I start with one small thing and work my way backwards, filling in as much detail as I need, so I don't have to do all of the history. I can just start with something that's interesting and build out from there. For example, marking all of the doors in a town with an X. You can begin to ask yourself questions about that particular thing you've chosen. What are they warding off? What's coming? And how do they appease it? And what happens if they don't? Then you can build the history from there. What happened to cause this? Should it be stopped or fixed? Can it be? Or something nice, let's say decorating trees with jewelry. Only the finest golds and silvers in the land, precious metals and gems, those are the only things that are allowed to go on the tree. Why? Who are they appeasing historically? Is it a way of showing wealth or abundance? And what happens if you can't afford jewelry to go on the tree? Does it create theft in the world? Is someone coming that will judge them? Or is it purely to spread joy and sparkle in the world? Let's look at it this way. A lot of holidays are derived from need and want. Most creatures need things, and when they don't have those things, they begin to feel hopeless, and they turn to bigger creatures that could possibly help them. Children will turn to their parents, and parents turn to their gods. So, what do your citizens most need or want? Create a god for that. Then find ways to appease that god and make them happy. Then let that slowly evolve over time into a holiday. For example, a sun god might want as much light and fire as possible, so maybe once a year they build up a great pyre and light it for them. And maybe over time that evolves into everyone having a fire in their house on the same day. Or maybe there's a planet out there where oxygen blows in and gets trapped in the atmosphere, and that's how they breathe. Whatever, science, this is fiction. So maybe they pray to the oxygen gods. How do you appease an oxygen god? Or maybe there's a deer god that brings bounty, so everyone paints their face with some kind of war paint and it wears antlers. Create holidays for these things. Holidays aren't all derived from want and safety. Historical events create a lot of holidays, in addition to religions and the stories that they tell. Other holidays are derived from fear and safety. Maybe they're trying to ward off evil spirits during the nights that the veil is thinnest. How would they do that? What do the spirits and demons look like? And how do you scare them? Do they actually physically come? Does it become a night of silence in hopes of not being hunted? Of masks and war paint? Of dark idols left as offerings on the stoops of houses? Maybe once a year there's a day of darkness, or a day of games, or a day of murder. Here's a fun brainstorm. Maybe your main character is a great hero that celebrates a particular holiday, and he's going into a town that does not celebrate that holiday. But they're expecting him, and they're excited for his arrival, and they want to set up this holiday for him to celebrate. But they get all the details wrong. I heard of a Japanese department store that wanted to set up an Easter display, but they got some of the details wrong and ended up putting up a crucifixion of a bunny rabbit. Fun. There is one big question you should ask yourself. Do you want your holiday to be inspired by anything in the current world or current traditions? In some cases, it's easier for readers to start feeling that holiday spirit if there are decorated trees or groups of carolers and other things that are familiar to them in the background. If you need your readers to get into the holiday mood and quick, you can paint in details pre-existing in our world and fill in the rest of the holiday with your own world's quirks. I'm going to hit on a point here real quick. Consider your marketability. If you're writing this to share with other readers and be published, marketing might be important to you. The holidays in your novel aren't just meant for you, the author, and your characters. You have to think about the people reading it. It doesn't hurt to bring in holidays that parallel common traditions in today's universe, like Christmas and Halloween, to get your readers to become invested in that aspect of your book. Obviously, you can make something completely unique, which is amazing, but know that your work is cut out for you. It's going to be harder to make your readers care about the emotions and feelings going on during those holidays. Now that we have an idea on how to fill out a strong foundation for a holiday, let's get into a few quick details. What happens during the celebration? Is it celebratory or solemn? Religious or secular? Is it a holiday where otherwise improper behavior is tolerated or even expected? Like excessive drinking on St. Patrick's Day, or pranking people on April Fools, or causing mischief the night before Halloween. Ritual. What rituals and traditions take place? Are there plays and performances? Music and songs. Are there sacrifices? What are they sacrificing to, and why? Or has the concept of sacrificing evolved? Do you leave an idol out now of things that used to be sacrificed? Or do you make a personal decision to sacrifice something for a certain amount of time, like in Lent? Food. What food is traditionally served? Are there full feasts or specific special meals? Are they breakfasts, lunches, or dinners? Take into consideration what food is widely available to your people and what might be considered special. What about beverages? Is there alcohol served, hot drinks, or cold drinks? And how did these beverages become associated with this holiday? Stress. On lots of occasions, holidays are about joy and goodwill. But to get that joy and goodwill, it comes with stress. So what is causing stress in your world, in your holiday? Anything out of the norm is usually stressful for humans. We're happy in repetition. It's why people always tend to sit in the same desk in classrooms. Or maybe your culture isn't happy in repetition. Maybe it's chaotic culture, and for their holiday they're forced to settle down for a week or a month, and that's going to cause stress. Either way, what might cause stress, worry, or anxiety during the holiday? Decorations. How do decorations symbolize the holiday, its religion, and its history? Are there any special colors or symbols used? How do people decorate? Is there something unusual that a lot of people do, like putting a tree in the house? Clothing. Is there traditional clothing worn, and what does it look like? Is it based in history, religion, humor, or maybe horror and fear? Superstitions. What are people superstitious about? What do they avoid doing? What do they consider good luck or bad luck? Gifts. Are gifts exchanged? Is it an explosion of gifts, as many gifts as you can make? Or is it a single gift? Are they specific types of gifts? And how are they presented? Are they wrapped or handmade? Are they all material possessions? Or are they acted out or sung or written down? Games. Are there traditional games played? And are there people that don't partake? Are there games that are only meant for certain age groups? Are there games that are mimicked by the children in the streets? Are there games that others watch during this time? Like how we watch parades on Thanksgiving. Songs. What sort of music is played? And are there special songs? Who sings them and where? Afterlife. Because this is an age-old question for humans, it's likely a theme that's in your novel. Holidays are a great time to think about how people are celebrating the spirits that have left them. Do they welcome them in? Or do they keep evil spirits away somehow? And are there any holy spirits or widely known holiday spirits, like the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future? Affluence. How does the holiday look from the rich versus the poor? Are there traditions they both do, but are done differently based off their own means? Race. If you have more than one race or species celebrating the holiday, do they do so in the same way or different ways? Do the centaurs and fawns celebrate differently, and what might those differences be? Culture. If people from various cultures celebrate the same holiday, what are the similarities or differences in how they celebrate? Consider geography. Is it hot or cold there? What kind of food is available? How do they create the feeling of the holiday when certain elements aren't there? If it's hot, how do you build a snowman? What do they do instead? Don't worry guys, I'll put this awesome how to build a holiday list of questions on my website for you. I will link it down below in the description so you can copy and paste it right back into your own holiday Bible. That's all I have for today, guys. I wish you the best of luck in creating your own holidays. I hope that this brainstorm was awesome for you, and I hope you come away feeling inspired. I know that when I was writing out my notes for this, I ended up on like a rabbit hole building my own holidays for my Dungeons & Dragons campaign, so they're getting all kinds of new holidays, so I know that I was inspired, and I hope you guys were too. I'll see you guys next time. Bye! If you're writing science fiction or peaches, we're talking about peaches. Step 1, pick it. It's like this slow rise. Hello, Tink. Hello, Tink.